Great Friday. I know when Friday hits, a majority of us are all excited because the weekend is just around the corner, and you get some reprieve from the tough week that has been. And so we are also excited right here. You could be asking yourself, where is Fred here? Well, not to worry. Sometimes we make adjustments, but not in totality. He will be here sometime next week, and he says Jumbo. And so a bit of music there. We now get into serious business. Today it's going to be a different Friday because later on then we'll be having a different session all the way from the Mount Kenya University as we get to witness celebrations and courtesy of the graduation ceremony that is slated for the day that is towards the last moment, and therefore that means Morning Cafe will not go all the way to 10 a.m. but we are glad that you've been a part and parcel of this, that you've been our loyal, and therefore as we get to start this conversation in about 2-3 minutes, I want you to be part and parcel of it. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV47KE. We value your feedback, and therefore we'll be sampling some of your comments as we continue with the broadcast. And also, we do not forget to give you the cake. The Friday is different, but that does not mean that you do not enjoy. And therefore, a cake courtesy of Valentine's Cake House will be awarded to you. It's pretty simple. You'll get the voucher from me if you write us and tell us why it is that you should be getting that cake. All the platforms are open. Once again, the hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV47KE. 22047 is the SMS short code. I always encourage you to use the SMS short code because that way I get your number instantly and then I can call back immediately. Those ones that are on social media, sometimes you tell us that you want the cake and then you disappear, and then it becomes hard to get a hold of you. So if you would use the SMS short code, it will be much easier for us to be able to give you that voucher immediately after the show. So karibu sana once again. My name is Linda Lela, and this is Morning Cafe, and it is good to do this with you on this last day. I call it last day because it's a Friday, and it's last for us on Morning Cafe because then tomorrow is a weekend, and then Sunday and up until Monday is when we get to meet. And straight to the conversation of the day. We won't be looking at what the news stories are, but through the papers, as we decipher alongside the gentlemen that I'll have on set, then we get to understand what is happening in the world of news. And the gentleman, none other than Josphat Kamanya, member of County Assembly candidate of Kihara Ward, and that is in Kiambaa constituency, Kiambu County. All right, Josphat, it's been a minute. It looks like the ground is not so friendly for you. Umepotea sana, inakumeza.
No, the ground has embraced us.
Yeah?
And we've had
that's why you lost.
That's why we are lost.
Okay.
So good morning to you, good morning to our viewers. And just a call to all the motorists on the road. Please use your signals and drive safe.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. These two gentlemen got me liking Kiambaa. Is it liking or just, it was interesting because during the by-elections, most of the times I had them here and the euphoria and, the build-up as to, who's going to win.
Yes.
The campaigns were quite intense, and on several occasions we had to decipher so much so about the situation in Kiambaa until then Kawanjiko got himself there. One of them again, Peter Muchendu, governance expert.
Yes.
I was surprised that he actually is not a member of Kiambaa constituency, and the way he was out there campaigning for Kawanjiko, I was like, what is not happening? How's Limuru?
I've been good. Limuru is okay. As usual, it's July, and it's naturally a cold place, but it has multiplied this time.
That's true.
It's actually drizzling, and we're doing fine and okay. And I was only in Kiambaa on an assignment,
on a mission,
from the Deputy President,
which you delivered.
Yes, I did, and I am proud of the fact that Kawanjiko, who we serve in the same alumni, is the member of parliament for Kiambaa. Yes. All
right. So what are his chances this time around? Not that he has had that 1 year approximately to, I don't know, prove himself to the people. But unfortunately, we realize that the functions of a member of parliament are pretty much not so much of what plays out on the ground, apart from the question of education and maybe some bit of security. Yes. But I doubt the people understand that to a level where they can confidently say that, this person has served us accordingly at, in terms of representing us at the level of the House. Some would actually write him off based on this just 1 year.
I think I would say I'm proud of what Njuguna Wajiko has achieved, because he was elected on 15th of July last year.
Yeah.
So that tells you he just did his 1 year a few days ago. And one thing I like about him is that he has identified the things that he could change within 1 year and concentrated on that. And basically, the things he has done is improved the state of the schools in Kiambaa.
Oh, yeah?
And one of the major issues that faced Kiambaa then was the redistribution of bursary funds. There was no consistency and balanced distribution of bursary fund, something that he intentionally decided to change. It is the first time you have seen Kiambaa bursary fund being distributed in public meetings. The other times you just apply, if you get, you go to CDF office and get a check. Rinda doesn't know. But when you do it in public, everybody will know if Rinda got the bursary fund, she deserves it. So I think what he has done is that he has identified things that would put him on the front very fast, things that do not require a lot of science to achieve. And I think that is what has has made him popular. If you still go to Kiambaa, maybe Kamanya would expound, you still find the Kawanjiko euphoria. You remember the song? Kawanjiko euphoria is still going on. So I believe that the people of Kiambaa, unless something drastic, which I don't think will happen, the people of Kiambaa will now legitimately and with a lot of love give him a full term to see what he can do.
I don't know whether that was a plus or not. Many said that please overlook the by-election moment. It's just 1 year to the general election, and perhaps this could be a disadvantage to whoever gets to, get up, because 1 year is very little for one to do something that, is highly noticeable, especially, if you're a member of parliament, because we all understand the functions of a member of parliament, which a majority of people on the ground do not really understand. And therefore, they expect that once you're a member of parliament, please, our roads have to be good. That road down there, connecting all the way to Red Hill, that one that connects, Raka to Ngashir and all that, and pretty much has not been done on this one. And therefore, the people would perhaps be tempted to look at him with such lenses that, oh, if this has not happened, then there's really nothing more that you bring. You shelved your ambition for Kawanjiko. Are you happy that you did that?
Well, first of all, the reason Kiambaa came into the limelight of politics is because a year ago is when we had the onset of the national politics. I remember even our presidential candidate was now aggressively coming out and declaring his presidential bid.
Yeah.
And on the same breath, we were trying to anchor now our party, the UDA party, into the national politics. And I think we managed that successfully by winning the Kiambaa MP position. So that really gave even now our honorable member, Juguna Wanjiko, a bit of a challenge because he was highly exposed.
Yeah.
Secondly, it is the first time in Kiambaa we've had a young Turk as a member of parliament. Over time we've had old guys who've been there for either in the public service, but he came not just from nowhere, and then he's a member of parliament. He has done his best to discharge his mandate to the people of Kiambaa. It's good to give credit where it's due.
Yeah.
When you look at the renovation of schools, and I agree with you, we still have issues that are still outstanding, especially like the issue of our road. That's the Red Hill Road that connects now, is a connecting road to Ruaka, to Karura, all the way from the junction of the village market. That still remains undone, and unfortunately has been used as a political tool. Remember, and he can bear me witness, last year during the by-election, the contractors were on site, courtesy of the Jubilee government. And Kimunya himself, the CS, is on record saying if you don't elect the Jubilee candidate, we are going to take away these tractors and the road will not be made. Jubilee lost, the road was not made.
Right.
Today, word has it that it is being made courtesy of a presidential executive order through the one Jubilee candidate who was awarded the ticket. As a good gesture to the people of Kihara ward, more specific, and Kiambaa people, so that she can get to win the election. And you see, that's not how it works. The Kihara ward people, my people, we are taxpayers. We deserve all the services from the government. The road must be made. And we are telling them, if they're not willing to do it because of our human right as Kenyan citizens, let them not do it at all. We are going to have the new Kenya Kwanza government, hopefully when we take office, do the road. after the swearing in of all the leaders who are going to be in office. Because it's highly unlikely that every time we have an election when the road gets done, and every time they lose, and they're going to lose this time as well, it's no longer done. We are shutting down businesses.
And of course, the show is not about Kiambaa,
Yes.
but then again, let's talk about it briefly, because then we would say almost a similar situation in a majority of the constituencies that we have across the country. During this by-election again, if my memory serves me right, because I really had a chance to speak about Kiambaa hugely, and therefore it bequeathed me to actually go to some of these places to see how it goes. The very same thing happened. The road was in construction. By who? I do not know. And then conversations were on as to how, again, also the deputy president is going to come in to assist now Kawanjiko, as he was, campaigning, to make sure that this road is recarpeted, that this road is constructed, and it's a good one. That has not happened. What is the problem with politicians, giving promises that they cannot deliver, as well giving the people promises that they know very well is not within their mandate?
I find it not only sad but pathetic that the government of the day has decided to use the road that serves the people of Kihara as a political tool. One, I've seen the serious contempt by the national government with the area member of parliament. You have noticed the other day they started was it called the Kazi Mtaani, or what do they call it? Yes. Naturally, the tradition on when they started that program, Jubilee government started that program, it is organized on the ground by the MP and the area DCC. To bring the young men who come to do the work. In this case, I've seen the current Jubilee candidate in Kiambaa straying herself around the issue of Kazi Mtaani. You're not elected, you have just been given a nomination for Jubilee. You go around claiming that you are the one who is in charge of the Kazi kwa Vijana. The same thing with the road. We saw around, is it 3 weeks ago? We saw how on tractors that they have started construction. Actually, it's not 3 weeks ago, it's 5 weeks ago to be precise.
Right.
Today, walk around Kiambaa, you will find caterpillars praying with soil for the entire 5 weeks. They have not done a single thing. In fact, I remember clearly about 2 weeks ago, we literally had to find a way to move around Kihara with Kamanya here, because they have dug the soil and then it has decided to drizzle and the place has become muddy. You cannot have the people of Kiambaa and specifically Kihara people transact business because that road. I have seen the Jubilee candidate doing press conferences that apparently they talked with the president. And the president promised her that he is going to do the road. We are about 10 or 11 days to the general election. Nothing has been done. A road is not done magically. It is a process that you need to do other work and all those places. So purely, it's unfortunate that the government has decided to use that as a tool, because as a politician, when you promise the people you are going to do road, it is within your mandate as an elected member of parliament or an MCA, because your work is to represent, legislate, and oversight. So when you are talking about representation, it is your responsibility as a member of parliament to go and write to the relevant bodies. I need road here, I need school here, I need this here. That the member of parliament has perfectly done it. Countless writing to the what do you call it, KELA, the Kenya Rural Roads, which is in charge of that particular project. They have decided to play around. And we are now taking serious the words by Amos Kemunya during the by-election. That if you do not elect because if you remember during the by-election, there were countless tractors and caterpillars and lorries moving around Kihara. In fact, it is the shouting that we did on media that made Uhuru not come and launch that particular project. He was supposed to have launched it. Then immediately after Kawanjiko is elected, all the government machineries and the mobilized contractor disappeared. Then you ask yourself, is it that the people of Kihara ward are not voters like the people of Day Award, where construction of our roads is still ongoing. I can tell you in my ward there are 3 roads that are being constructed as we speak. So I find it outrageous that a road like the one in Kihara connecting the place with links like Red Hill bypass that are very important, that has been neglected.
Right.
So we just want to ask the Ministry of Government, Ministry of Roads of the national government, don't be used by politicians and people with vested interest to propagate politics on projects that are very important to the people.
And now that ushers us in to the conversation of the national politics. And I mean, national, then we also know that therein is the question of, devolution, as well as county governments is incorporated therein. I have had this conversation that, your ward is not going to get this and that because you're not in the best of terms with the governor. And members of county assembly will tell you that they have really been frustrated, because they've not had the best relationship with their governors. What will it take for us to get ourselves from this, that this county does not get to benefit because it does not sit well, or the boss does not, have good connections, or does not have a good relationship with, the people that are at the top of the helm of the national government? And I mean, this deprives the people who are voters,
yes,
who are taxpayers, of very crucial, development factors. Why does it have to get to such a...
And thank you very much, Linda, because that's the question we're talking about nationally. And those are the issues we are facing at the ballot. Because the greatest challenge we are having as a nation today, including the lowering of the maize flour on paper.
Is it lowered, by the way?
I mean, on paper. Yes, we get to that. Is that all our leadership issues have been personalized. And if you realize, we are trying to say we need to shift from personalized leadership to institutionalized leadership, so that as a member of county assembly, it should not matter whether we are the best of friends with my governor. It should only matter that whatever is in structure, whatever is on record, whatever is provided for by the law is applied, so that my people, regardless of where you are serving in this country, get to have the access of our resources and also goodies from the government. When you talk of oversight and representation and legislation, it should not be biased, it should not be personalized. And those are the challenges we are having as a nation. We need to grow and develop our democracy. And that's why I'm calling upon, because this is the last stretch, this is the home stretch, 10 days to go to an election. Please look at all the candidates you have in your area as a Kenyan and decide who best can serve our interest as a community, who best can represent our issues as a community, and who best can legislate over our issues as a nation and as a region. Because it is only we can have endless list of laws, we can legislate all we want, but we have no shortage of our laws. Our constitution is perfect, in a manner of speaking. What we are struggling with is implementation. And implementation lies clearly with the leadership that is going to assume office.
Yeah.
Today, people are suffering. Linda, do you know we have lost billions because of hunger, because of shortage of rainfall? But remember, we have had programs that were meant to come and have intervention on providing water for the livestock and irrigation schemes. But that has not happened. Why? Poor leadership.
Yeah. Today,
we continue to lose lives, the road carnage. And after it's been analyzed, it has been summarized that it is neglect of duty, poor workmanship. Look at our roads, how they are being done, poor signage. Because if you're driving on a new road, Linda, you need to have proper signage as a driver for you to prepare yourself on the journey ahead. There could be a bump, there could be a diversion, there could be a hot spot, a black spot. But what we have is poor leadership across board. And that is what I'm urging Kenyans. This is not about anything. The election that is coming, my friends, my Kenyans, my brothers and sisters, it should be an issue-based voting system.
Right.
We have to look at what are the issues we have and who can best help us address the issues as a country so that we can save lives. That should be number one. And grow our economy for people to have a better social life. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about unga. I don't know whether you gentlemen had a chance to hit the market to go and
yes.
You have had a chance?
Yes.
Ulipata unga ya 100?
You only find the likes of hostess.
I am telling you.
And they tell you only have...
Mimi hata jana,
Yes.
I was there, crossing fingers that I would get something.
Yes.
Unfortunately. And we're not here to castigate.
You know, I found it outrageous and I actually, coincidentally, I shared with Kamanya here.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
And I told him, the president is somehow trying to impress Kenyans and giving them false hope. That very day, the reason I asked that is, if you look at the chain on how we distribute our products, by the time he was saying with immediate effect, there are millions of packets of unga that has already been purchased on a certain price that was very high. And it is already populated in our, because you remember that the Ministry of Agriculture had also indicated that the shortage of maize continues to place us so much. So many people have bought a lot of stocks so that it would last them in case there were shortages of maize. So there was a lot of unga bought at the higher cost that was already at the disposals of wholesalers, retailers. And before we can dispose of that particular product, it was going to take time. And I felt that the president, if he was sincere and if he was not praying to the gallery, he should have come up with a plan. Ask the millers, how much unga have you released to the retailers and the suppliers? How long does it take to take that unga off the shelves? And then they would tell you, we release this unga, it takes 1 week for us to produce another set of nini. So that the president would say, in 7 days, we are going to roll out the 100 shillings unga. Knowing that the retailer who bought some 20 bales of ugari and put them in his shop is not going to be affected. That evening when he talked about the 100 shillings unga, I remember I was in Limuru town in my favorite joint having my tea. And on my way home, I got into one of the Naivas supermarket. I'm telling you, people are there shouting, the president has said that we must get 100 shillings unga with immediate effect. That is a private franchise that had probably bought unga at 200 shillings and selling it at 230. So I found that the president contributed to create a crisis that, however, should not have been there. Let even the millers who franked him when he was doing the presser were not honest. When the president was saying that immediately, they should have told him that we have sold this unga, because let me tell you, Linda, it does not matter whether he's the president of Kenya or whoever comes that has more power than Uhuru and says that I must sell unga at 100 shillings. I'm telling you, if I bought that unga at 200 shillings, promise you I will get my return on that unga. I cannot sell it at 100 shillings. Because then you are telling Kenyans, if that was to be effected immediately, as the president had ordered, he was telling some hustler somewhere there who is starting like a small business, you have to cross because you have bought 10 bales of unga to sell at 200 shillings. Somebody is telling you to sell them at almost 300% loss. It is unpracticable. And that is why you find, if you walk to any shop today, you will not find that unga. Because there was no definite timeline. So even the person who is buying that unga probably at 90 shillings is still selling it at 200 shillings because he will still claim this was part of the stock that I had. So I think the president and then, was it necessary for the president to come and announce the 100 shillings unga? I thought that was a very small activity that should have been, not even the minister, it should have been accorded to the principal secretary.
And you know, I asked myself, just why did the president do this? And I mean, are there no advisors around him? Is there sabotage in this whole process? Some millers and some, you know, retail shops are arguing that they never got subsidy for I don't know, 2017 and all that, and therefore they cannot be fixed into this. And you just ask yourself, I mean, some of these things pretty crucial, but pretty simple again for a governor or for a government that has, you know, professionals therein, has, you know, great brains in the world of economy. Just what really did they do in terms of advising the president?
It begs the question, as you say, how informed was this decision, number one. Number two, when a president of a nation comes out and says, with immediate effect, for example, you know, if we are told to shut down TV 47 now with immediate effect, we vacate.
We vacate. Lights off and we're out.
Spot on. So pronto. So how is it that right now a president says, my citizens of this country should be retailing unga at 100 bob, not more than 100 shillings. And yet 2 weeks into it, you still are not able to have the same implemented.
Maybe we're the ones who get to the supermarkets a little bit late because you realize that the shelves.
No, I have gone. I've done research. I have gone to the wholesalers, and they tell you, these unga I have, as you say, the brands that are supposed to be retailing at 100 or less, I bought them with the old prices. There is no way I can sell it to you with the new prices. I was at Carrefour. Just this week, early this week. And I asked them, where is the unga?
Where is the unga? Hold it right there. Let's take a quick short break and then we come back after that.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent. I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands. Every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers, as we know agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. TV 47, the home of untold stories.
All right, welcome back to the broadcast. Still with me in studio, we have Kamanya as well as Muchendu as we take a look at the politics of the day. As we close on this question of unga. And so when this was mentioned, there was that general feeling that this is a political move towards getting to woo voters to appreciate the candidature of Right Honorable Raila Odinga. And I mean, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga as well has perhaps cemented that by saying, you know, I spoke to my brother and I told him that unga imekuwa ngumu sana, and you see the adjustments have been made. I do not know whether he would say the same thing right now, and how much of an implication is this to the bid that he sets aboard, knowing very well that the President Uhuru Kenyatta is the chair of Azimio, that which then hosts the Right Honorable Raila Odinga as his, or as the candidate of this party.
You know, as I have said, today we don't have the 100 shillings unga on our shelves. That's a fact. You may shout on TV and everything and say you have roared, but the fact check on the ground is that unga is not in existence. And it is the very reason I said the people who advised that the president be the one who is breaking the news for that particular issue misread him. Today, if it was the principal secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture who was making that announcement, then he would be the one biting the bullet today. But that announcement came from none other than the head of state, the President of the Republic of Kenya. And this is the problem we are having in this country. Praying to the gallery, to the political arena, so that you actually, take people for a ride, that this is going to happen. Because I find it outrageous that it is the same government that has been in existence from how the unga left 120 shillings to 230. We create what is called artificial problems, so that in return we can also give fake solutions to those problems. And I think this government is not fair. Look at the cost of fuel today, at 159 shillings. That is when the government decided to bring the subsidy back. Where were they when the same? Because let's face it. You are the cost of fuel. What is the cost? The landing cost of petroleum products in Mombasa. The landing cost of petroleum products in Mombasa is it is 45% of the retail cost. So the rest of the cost is added because of our tax regime that has been put in this country. We have taken I will not call them cheap, but we have taken loans from IMF, which has said that we must impose the VAT on fuel. So when you pretend, you come and impose a tax regime that is oppressive to Kenyans, then on the tail end you purport to give a subsidy on the same tax that you give. We don't need subsidy. What the Minister of Petroleum ought to have done, it is look at the tax regime of petroleum products and see which tax can we take away to give a breather to Kenyan. But you tax, and then you come with subsidy. I mean, it is crazy. You charge me more, you correct, and then you purport to give me a subsidy from the same amount that you have corrected from me. So I think basically what we have done and what we have witnessed, it is a government that is not sure what it really needs. It is a government that is not sure how it's going to handle this economy. By now, I thought that one of the best things Uhuru should have done in his final 2 years, it is to see how we can restructure the public debt. It is to see how we can actually be able, because we have financed a lot of capital projects, and that has left so many Kenyans without something. If you go to where I come from in Deya, there's a road that comes from a place called Mutarakwa connecting to Gekambura in Kikuyu constituency. Well done road. It is something that ought to help the Deya people maximize on business opportunities that comes with it. My place where I come from, it is classified as a semi-arid. Deya is a semi-arid area. It is very ripe for horticultural products, horticultural fruits, horticultural foodstuffs. It can be done there. But you find a government that has invested in capital project, and it has refused to invest in the human capital, that human capital is able now to do production and maximize on that road. That definitely widens the tax bracket and the tax net, and it makes it easier for government to be able to pay loans from the consolidated fund where all our taxes are taken.
Yeah.
So I think it is about the government and how you structure the government. Uhuru has literally turned this country into working sites. Yeah. But the question is, when you're doing the capital projects, are you empowering people to be able to maximize on the potential that those capital projects brings? And I think that is where, if you look at the deputy president is coming in and saying, hold on, we have done these capital projects, but we have not empowered people so that they can do business, increase the tax net, increase our revenue, and we are able to pay our debts without being pressed. You realize Kamanya knows we have defaulted a number of loans we are trying to renegotiate. So I think it is a government that has not balanced priorities. It has given priorities to capital projects that have are costing us very loans with a lot of interest. Yeah. And when you put it down there, have you empowered the people who are supposed to benefit from that capital project?
If it is that bad, then they said in Kiambaa it was a protest vote to President Uhuru Kenyatta, in Juja, more or less a protest vote, and all these conversations that revolve around us. If it is indeed that bad, why the excitement from these two key figures? And I'm talking about these two figures because they've been here long enough. Overlook Wajakoya, overlook Mwaure. These ones have been here long enough. They perhaps understand how government performs. Nyerere at some point in time says, you know, he would be surprised to see someone getting excited about being a president, because it is that moment where you walk on the road and you look at your people and the way they are suffering, and it breaks your heart. Why is it that there's so much excitement of these people inheriting such a terrible government, if it is terrible?
It is terrible indeed, and there's no question about it. Even a layman in this country can tell you that we are running on this is a tightrope walk. Even for us as candidates, we know we are getting into the worst of a situation in the country, and we need to revamp the economy. We need to tap into the socio-economic welfare of our people urgently. And that's why you hear everybody is being asked, what is your plan for the first 100 days? But before we go there, on the excitement on why they want to take off to be in leadership, Linda, I want to compare us with Cuba. When they were given sanctions, they had to go back into restructuring their communal existence and how they were going to survive, because there was no help coming from most of the international partners that they had. Kenya has been operating as if we are having sanctions, which is the contrary, because we have access to international debt. And these debts are meant to come and get injected into our economy and make our lives and our economy very vibrant, and make us grow the developmental key project and also the socio-economic on the citizens. But we are having the opposite of that. Every time we borrow, every time we get support, grants even, instead of improving the welfare of our Kenyans, the cost of living has continued to rise. In the last 4 years, it has been very drastic. The graph has been shooting up. And that's what we are saying, that needs to come to a stop. That yes, much as we are borrowing, we are not feeling the impact. So, the question then comes in, why would anybody want to take on such leadership, such an economy? Linda, leadership is a calling. It is an industry. We cannot sit back and say, now we leave the country to dogs. No, somebody has to step in, because we care about people. We are the same people who get calls left, right, center on how to intervene on the social problems that are existing. Kids are not going to school. When you see people being paraded in a stadium to collect bursary forms, it is not because they want to be there. They cannot afford to pay for free education. And get the irony, to pay for free education. So our leadership of this nation is in a crisis, and I'm glad that in 10 days we are going to the polls and we have a chance to change that as a country. The reason you see people standing up and wanting is because somebody has to stand in the gap and say this country should not be going on this direction. It is not just about the economy. We are losing lives. Families are breaking up. You know, we are losing even our own social fiber, because every now and then you have to hustle and bustle just to bring food to the table. Everybody is earning less than they're spending every day, and everybody, from the CEO of any company you can pick. they are earning less than they are spending on aggregate. We have this artificial inflation. The only way to capture it, we have to have a serious, decent conversation. That's why you see us, and allow me to say this, as Kenya Kwanza, the debate is about the economy. The plan is about the economy. Our manifesto, yes, it's a politics. You know, the manifesto is a promissory note to our Kenyan people. Is about the economy, because we know that is the backbone of this country. How do we revamp agriculture? How do we revamp education? How do we bring equality? How do we, you know, Linda, most of our farming is not rain-based. We use, I'm a farmer myself, we use generators to run the shallow wells. If you're buying a liter of diesel over 100, and you're consuming 100 plus liters in a day, and yet you used to retail the same from around 90 to 120, the cost of food has to go up. And that's why this affects even our health system. Remember, we have people on special diets because of the health conditions that they're having, which cannot be covered in our national the NHIF. You see the irony. You pay, but then when you go, the same hospital tells you we cannot cover these conditions. You pay for bed, you buy medication, which is more expensive, and people are dying. So we are in a crisis.
Are we going to experience another protest vote? You know, protest against who? I do not understand. But are we as well likely to have, you know, a revolution at the ballot?
You know, I think we will have a revolution in the ballot because if you look at the UK politics or the US politics, a case study of the UK politics, you have the two major parties, that is the Labour Party, and then you have the Conservatives that are formerly known with the famous David Cameron. Those two parties, we are almost 100% sure that, Linda, they will never see eye to eye on how they see issues. Issues of leadership, issues of economy, issues of socio-economic welfare. They have very different approach on those issues. So when the UK people decide that we are going to elect the Labour Party, they know specifically the reason why they want the Labour Party, because the Labour Party stands for certain principles in terms of doing business, in terms of social welfare and all those things. Then you have Kenya, where Kenyans overwhelmingly decided that they want a Jubilee government, because Jubilee government at 2017, they gave a promissory note that has the 4-point agenda. And that is the reason why Kenyans did not only elect the president, they almost gave him absolute majority in the National Assembly and in the Senate to be able to run government. Then a year down the line, the president decided to disregard the very mandate that was given to him by the majority of Kenyans and went ahead and joined an opposition leader who had a very different approach on political matters from him. Then that can only mean the only reason the Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta and the Prime Minister came together, it is because it was convenient for Uhuru to rule without a lot of opposition, and it was not necessarily for the benefit of Wanjiku. Because if it was about the benefit of Wanjiku, explain to me how you went to reach out to the opposition leader. One, you have been given absolute non-contested democratic second win. Nobody went to court to contest it. You are bona fide democratically elected president. This republic has given you, you are only shy of a few MPs to have an absolute majority to be able to move this government in the issues of legislative arm. But you disregard that and you rush to reach out to your opposition leader. You disregard your deputy president. Then it can only mean you are either not courageous enough to read, or you have a personal agenda, because if it is about legislating the regulations and laws that would help you govern, you had the numbers in parliament. If it is about making declarations and executive orders, you are the bona fide democratically elected president. Why would you need an opposition leader when Kenyans have absolutely given you the total mandate, and they have confirmed members of your party to help you govern. And this is majorly the problem, I'm telling you, that we as Kenyans go to the ballot. We have given somebody an absolute authority to lead. He has decided to disregard it and reach out to an opposition leader. And it's a matter of fact derogating the very responsibility why we woke up in the morning to vote someone. We woke up to separate Uhuru Kenyatta from Raila Odinga. Then 1 year down the line, you decided that whatever Kenyans came out in the morning to do was useless. I am going to reach out to this guy, and we are going to form that. And that's why I told you what Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga are doing. It is the canon discipline that was installed in people before civilization came. And that is, you do not speak when you are eating. It's called table manners. And that is what they exercise.
An addendum to the handshake commentary. The president is on record saying that when he has been advised by the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, issues of the nation only improve and get better, unlike compared to the deputy president. Is the cost of living the best they have come at? Both of them put together. Is this the best they would have given Kenyans in the last 4 years? And that's why people, it's not a revolt, it's not a protest vote. It is an informed decision that we are meeting on the ballot, that we want our issues addressed by a person who understands what this country needs. A person who will not disregard the mandate given to him by the people. A person who has taken time to listen to the people. You've had commentaries as late as yesterday about the church from the Right Honorable Odinga. The day before that, he was disregarding the people who deal with second-hand clothes. And now here you have the president give an executive order that let the people feed on 100 shillings. And then 2 weeks down the line, we are still begging the distributors and the millers to put unga in the shelves. We are in a crisis, and people must rise up now and remember that whoever put everybody in power, including my deputy president, it is us Kenyans using our votes. And the same us as Kenyans, because everybody is going to vote, we are going to put new leadership. What do you want to see in the next 6 months after August?
Graft has been at the heart of the troubles that we have in the country today. The presidency, or the government of President Uhuru Kenyatta, is one that as well has been, pointed fingers at as to the question of graft. And, he came out as a person who really was determined to address corruption in the country. Well, to say unsuccessfully, based on what it is that we have seen. And when we're talking about this, then it brings us to these stories that, every day would make the headlines. You get to the front page of the papers, there's something about graft. Today, on the Standard newspaper, there's this one on the NYS saga that is still on, active in court. They say NYS suspends suspects to face fresh 1 billion trial. A magistrate court has acquitted former PS Peter Muchendu, but judge rules he has a case to answer. A story captured on page 22. I don't know whether we get into the details of NYS. We all are privy to this information. But then again, also on this one on Gachagua, they say where Gachagua lost 202 million to the state, making of a scam. After 3 years of investigations and trips to the court, a UDA presidential running mate will lose his millions in the wake of a ruling that the money from government, or that the money from government agencies was acquired through corruption. A story captured on page 6. In the event that the likes of Gachagua are installed in government, then how successful are we in the troubles of corruption? Dealing with them.
The deputy president has been consistent in talking about the independence of the judiciary and not weaponizing the justice legal system in this country. And I think basically that's what we are witnessing. Is the standard that has carried the story of NYS. And the other newspaper, Daily Nation, has carried the story of Gachagua. I find it outrageous that one, when you talk about Gachagua and his 200 million shillings, I'm not an expert. Neither am I here to speak on behalf of Gachagua. But I find it outrageous that the people who are said to have lost the money have never come out to actually say that they actually lost this money. We have had the COVID billionaire that have forced the president to come actually out on the State of a Nation address to address the theft of COVID billionaire. But you never see anything about the COVID billionaire on these papers or on the streets of justice. Because these COVID billionaires are what is called, they are politically correct with the current administration.
Yeah.
And you find Waigoro, who is on the NYS saga, which is a cross that she must carry, because Muchendu has never worked for the NYS.
Yeah.
And that is a matter in court that you have to prove your innocence there. Same case with Gachagua, that he has to go through the entire legal justice system to prove that this money is legally obtained. That is within the law. What I find outrageous is that you fight today and every other day, and I promise you, Rinda, even if we come tomorrow and the day before election, the only stories you will find that are talking about corruption are those that are touching on people who are against the current government. Uhuru has been on record saying this country is losing 2 billion. Let me tell you, if Rinda today you come and you tell me, Muchendu, you are losing shillings every day. You cannot wake up one morning and tell me I'm losing 100 shillings. You must have known where that 100 shillings is being lost.
Yeah.
But the president has not been honest. How did you know we are losing 2 billion?
That's a question.
You know, that's the question.
Yeah.
How did you know we are losing 2 billion? Because you cannot just wake up in the morning and address the nation and tell the nation that this nation is losing 2 billion shillings, but you have no capacity of telling us how and who are the culprits of this particular thing. So I think what the president did, he knew the truth, but he decided to withhold the truth, because if the truth is followed, it will probably lead back to his allies. That's what I can say. Some of the people that have been said to root KEMSA are people who wanted to read this Nairobi. We know the history of doing business with some people in government.
Yeah.
So I think basically what we are talking about is that we have weaponized the justice legal system of this country. And that's something that needs to stop. That is something that people who are vying for the presidency, both William Ruto and Raila Odinga. William Ruto is on record having taken a position that he will stop the weaponization of the justice system.
Yeah.
Because you cannot have some cases that cannot see the light of day in court. Others are dragging in court for a very long time because, number one, despite passing a constitution in 2010, this government has refused to activate the judicial fund that is supposed to help the judiciary become more independent, because today the accountant of judiciary, who is the, what do you call her? The position that was held by Gladys Bosharoy.
Yes.
That is the person who is actually the accountant of the judiciary. She is always at treasury, to beg for more funds. That means if the judicial legal system of this country is depending on the treasury to give them money to expand their court system, then there is a problem and a conflict of interest, and they cannot be as independent as they should, because they will be told, we want rulings going this way, so that you can do. I find it actually suspicious that a ruling out of the bruise on the issues of Gachagua has come 10 days before the poll that are supposed to make Gachagua the deputy president. I find it seriously outrageous. Even Gachagua himself and his lawyers were not ready for a ruling in the near future.
Yeah.
So I find it outrageous. I don't want to cast aspersions on the judiciary, but on a personal level, I find it very outrageous, very suspicious, and something that needs to be relooked. We need to free the justice legal system in this country, and allow them to operate independently, so that if Muchendu is taken to court, he is accorded all the provisions of our judicial legal system, and if found guilty, you pay up for your mistakes. But we cannot have a judiciary and an investigative unit that are appointed toward Kamanya.
Yeah.
They are appointed toward so-and-so. We need to have an impartial judiciary. The only way to do this, it is to make sure that they are autonomous both in their rulings and the funding.
Okay, well.
We lost on the issue of graft. And the reason it has been prevailing over time is because this country lost the judicial independence. And as he says, correctly so, we have weaponized our judicial system. A case in point, the COVID billionaires is not so long ago, but that case has not been concluded. Yet it is so fresh. The evidence is just right there, glaring in the face. But because certain characters have been mentioned, that file has been shelved. Gachagwa's judgment, I think it is when he was meant to go off to appear for a hearing, and I'm not discussing a matter in court, just to mention though. He was meant to appear for a hearing, I think in September. And then thereafter, the case would have proceeded. How it has been pushed backwards to today, and then we even have a judgment, you know, it leaves a lot to be desired. And yes, matters of graft need to be addressed. But Linda, the worst corruption this country is facing is when you build a bypass, the Western bypass, and not elect footbridge for the residents to cross over from one side to the next. We are losing lives every day. The worst corruption, again, is when you increase the cost of fuel, the cost of unga, and you don't explain to Kenyans what is happening. The worst corruption is not just targeting the UDA candidates and saying that the Kenya Kwanza fraternity is made of corrupt people. No, the worst corruption is holding back government services to Kenyans who are not supporting your party during this political season. That is the worst corruption, because it also goes into violation of human rights. We have to understand that.
Right.
Let's not look at corruption just about money. It's about violation of just basic common human rights. We cannot have this country run amok like that.
And you know, we're going to get to the raft proposals that have been presented by the Kenya Kwanza team as to how they're going to handle graft, the formation of a commission, and their determinant aspect of making sure that indeed the justice system is performing its duties or its mandates independently. I don't know how possible that is, but we take a short break and then we come back, expound further on that.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
Well, do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers.
The operations of Kenya Kwanza came out to give us this, document that they say will be a formation of a commission. They have been talking about state capture and how they're going to address that. Way to go, Muchendu, briefly.
I think the way of dealing with corruption is very simple. And the Deputy President is precisely has put it in our manifesto, by the way, that the only way to stop weaponizing of the corruption menace, it is to make sure that the bodies that are charged with that particular issues, the body charged with prosecution, the body is charged with adjudication, that is the just legal system of our country. We activate the judicial fund so that they become independent of any politician. We actually institute a fund for the DPP to become independent. We must now separate the, today the DCI reports to the Inspector General of Police. And the duties of DCI and those of police, yes, is in the security industry, but they are well defined.
Yeah.
We must now get an independent DCI that is going to be fully funded. They do not depend on government to do their investigations. Today, how much has this government invested on the forensic science to help us propel and quickly solve matters? Because some of the matters that are dragging behind in court, Rinda, they are based on, we do not have the forensic science to actually break the stalemates. This government, the DCI, on the other side, has not been given funds to be able to bring, have a forensic science lab that will help them analyze the crime sites and all those things. We have the economic forensic expertise who will follow the money and tell us if indeed this money are proceeds of corruption. So I think basically the moment we make the bodies charged with that responsibility independent, both in how they operate and how they get financed, I think we will have made a milestone in terms of dealing with corruption, because that is the way. And then on the other side, the government must be ready to call out corruption when they smell one. The government must be on the forefront of saying, as much as Rinda is part of this government, you have contravened our trust and our undertaking to the people.
Will this not be poison that will end up killing a majority of these people that are in Kenya Kwanza?
But that is based on an assumption that they are all corrupt, which is not true. Yes. So we have to, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
We have to know where does the story begin. And this is what we need to do. I think we need to separate and harmonize our institutions. So the DCI stops being slapped every day by the judicial system that you did not bring us enough evidence. They have arrested you, they have subjected you to the process, but then the courts say, because of this and that, we don't have enough evidence to proceed with the case. So we have to separate and harmonize.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, institutionalize our procedures. The judicial system, the investigative department, all these bodies need to work in harmony.
Yeah.
But again, for the graft affair, I feel very sad for the Kenyans that our presidential debates and even the deputy presidential debate, in my opinion, they were turned into character interviews where we did not get to have the candidates expound on the issues that Kenyans really need to hear, like the issue of graft, because everybody keeps quoting chapter 6 about the integrity. And integrity is not somewhere in the constitution. This is about virtues and ethos and ethics of working. It would have been nice to see an interrogation on issues and not character during these debates.
Wow.
But that is water under the bridge. People now know our candidates, those who showed up and those who did not.
Not sure.
People will get to make a choice.
Gentlemen, time is moving very fast.
Very fast. I think two things, Linda, I need to speak to Kenyans about today. If you are a registered voter, please come out and vote.
Yeah.
Because what you find on the ballot is not the Right Honorable Odinga or my presidential candidate of choice, William Ruto. What you find on the ballot is the economy of this country and the future of yourself and those of our children. Come out and vote on the issues that you find and the issues that you want addressed. And the person that you feel is going to address your issues, all the way from the president to the MCA. I am vying for an MCA position in Kiambaa County. I want to see a Kiambaa County that will be run in a manner that uplifts not just the economy, but also the welfare and the lifestyle of all the Kiambaa residents. Because Kiambaa County is the bedroom of Nairobi. Therefore, it is part and parcel on the development of our economy as a nation. I also want to see a Kiambaa County that has a governor, in hope that the Dr. Kimani Wamatangi becomes the UDA candidate, becomes the Kiambaa governor. We want to revamp the economy. We want our education system uplifted. And we want to see that across the country. So people of Kiambaa, people of Kihara, come out and vote for Kamanya, come out and vote for governor, come out and vote for president. But above everything, we must maintain peace. My call, I've been saying this since we began these campaigns, that on 10th, I want to see everybody, whether in Marsabit, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru. On 10th, I want to see everybody wake up and go to work peacefully, as if nothing happened on the 9th. We must respect the outcome, the majority. Hopefully, the Kenya Kwanza, we are going to have our way. And the Azimio people are going to have their say. Kenya is bigger than anybody. We must move on. Peace and economy must prevail.
Well put, well put. Gentlemen, you know we've not talked about the IBC.
Oh, yes.
As well as the SRC with the bombshell.
A quick one as we wind up, and I know this is very key. One, the media and the IBC. This is on you. The media needs to stop the projection on possible insinuations. Let's broadcast.
Even when these are the facts on ground.
Broadcast the facts. Don't project. Because the media also has everybody is looking up to the media, not the position they're assuming, and you are feeding the nation on the whatever you produce as the news. 2, IBC is a custodian of this process. Let us support them, us as candidates, voters. The government needs to do everything from funding to security agencies and make sure that we have a credible and fair electoral process.
All right, the SRC.
I think the MPs prayed ni ile lugha ya mtaa wanasema wamecheza kama wao. They agreed to lose their plenary allowances. You know, they were being given for every appearance on a plenary you receive 5,000 shillings. They have forgone that for a new house allowance of 150,000 shillings. And that was clever of them, because now an MP will be taking about 800,000 if you are not, and that is minus the committee duties. That's what they call the basic allowances, the basic pay, and the what you call the industrial adjustment allowances. You have not included the committee, and you know these committees are the ones that send people to the US for hefty allowances, overseas allowances, and unfortunately so, we may probably congratulate the incoming members of parliament, because that takes effect with the new parliament that comes.
You think they're not going to propose for a reverse of this?
No. Why would you reverse 150,000 gains?
It's a good deal for them.
For 5,000 shillings.
And so, to help with the allowances.
I mean, if you give me a better pay, I will forgo that allowances, because I am now assured of 150,000 extra additional to what I used to get as the house allowances. You have not touched my committee allowances, which vary. They are actually not, there is no capitation on allowances on committees. And so I think, well, SLC must have done something good with the establishment, because they don't receive bashing as they used to. So we may probably say they have gone into bed with the establishment. That would be the case. And I will also say that let the media cool down. Let the media not learn to run headlines that are going to shed shivers in the Kenyans. On Sunday, a few media houses at 7 p.m. ran a story on which house was being repaired in town, and some computer things were being taken. Only for Monday to realize that the owner of the house was actually repairing the house, and the items that were taken out of that place were actually useless. So let us take our time, report facts, because facts then don't change. They remain to be facts. This projection thing, without backing of the numbers, it is going to cause jitters in this country, and it is going to prepare ground for skirmishes, which is something we do not want. We want the date 9th and 10th to be for the transition to be seamless between 9th and 10th, and this nation moves forward.
Well, I agree. And I agree, because, well, they're in all this media activity and business, they are the rules that guide us, the code of conduct, and therefore it dictates pretty much well that every single item that we disseminate out there to the people should be factual.
But we must always congratulate TV47. The reason why we get invited and we wake up early to come here, it is because, number one, you allow us to present our facts. you're very careful in allowing people to advance their personal agenda.
Yeah.
As long as what we talk about here is of importance to the nation and it has its accuracy, nobody gags us from doing that. Something that we must be proud of. TV47, it is growing up to be a very serious voice of reason in the community. So we are proud to be here, and we wish that every other media out there will emulate what we come to do here every morning.
Thank you.
And on that voice, we also want to tell Kenyans, stop fighting.
Well, true.
There is life after 9. I've seen some candidates get into skirmishes with others. If Muchendu is having his rally in Limuru, wait until I am gone.
And then you
come do yours and say you're beat. And that is what we are appealing, especially. I want to appeal to the second most populous county of Kiambu, where we have the race for governorship in Kiambu, by the way, Rinda, is not a race like any other anywhere in the country.
Oh, yes, in the country.
It is not
Kiambu
like
is
any
tough.
other.
Yes.
It's very tough. But we also want to ask, and we will call out, if you are the one sponsoring chaos and mayhem to bring jitters into the Kiambu voters, we are going to call you out.
That's true.
If UDA is having their rally, wait until they are gone, come do your rally. Nobody is going to stop you. You have the liberty, and the Constitution protects you from doing that. But your liberty goes as far as where my rights begins.
Yeah.
And that is what most candidates must know. That, we have seen people destroy. We have seen the governor candidate Wamatangi's vehicles being destroyed. We have seen people being stoned in Kiambu. And basically, those are rallies organized by a certain faction, which you have no business being in. You wait for them to do it, and then you do it. So we call upon all these governor candidates in Kiambu, the sitting governor Nyoro, Moses Kuria, Kabogo, Governor Kimani Wamatangi. We are asking for peace.
Okay.
It is the most populous county in Kiambu.
Yeah.
And the people of Kiambu will make a decision on 9th, by the way.
Yes.
And they will only choose one governor, not two. Just one.
Well, after the presidency,
yes,
that is one that we are looking to see what will play out. It's exactly
1.3, almost 1.4 million votes.
Yes. 7:45 on the dot. We have to close, gentlemen. 30 seconds to your people of Kiambaa. 30 seconds, strictly.
Come out, my people of Kihara ward, my people of Kiambaa, my people of Kiambu, my people of Kenya. Come out on the 9th, vote wisely and vote peacefully. For the Kihara ward people, vote for you as truly, Josphat Kamanya, to be your next MCA on the UDA ticket, and vote for